Labor law is an important component for sustainable enterprise development. The Law Growth Nexus tool is a project designed to explore the effect of labor and labor-related laws on small and medium enterprise in Africa. It is an initiative meant to contribute towards a working policy environment for small and medium enterprise development. The project is being spearheaded by the International Labour Organization ILO in collaboration with the United Nations.
The ILO, with support from the government of Norway, in the discussions in the ILO governing body, the questions came as to, with all these laws, in trying to respect all the international standards that are set by the ILO, what is the impact on the small and medium businesses?
Most people who work in small enterprises, they are not covered by social protection, which workers are in big companies. And one reason why they're not covered is because the entrepreneurs choose to stay informal. And they stay informal to avoid the heavy cost and the burden of following the regulations, the labor regulations. So this project focuses on that challenge, how to make those who work in small enterprises covered by basic social protection without making it too expensive for the entrepreneur.
The Law Growth Nexus basically looks at the relationship between law and development, or law and growth. And this particular project is focusing on the small business sector, what is commonly known as the micro, small and medium enterprise sector, or the MSME sector. So we're looking at the small businesses, the informal sector, a lot of those people who are operating under the radar, and how the increase of knowledge and compliance to the law can actually increase their business.
The Law Growth Nexus 2 project is aligned to decent work country programs in Kenya and Zambia, which identify social protection, employment creation, and social dialogue as priorities.
The members of the International Labour Organization, which is all countries, including Zambia, they agree on rules and regulations on working conditions. But that applies only to the formal sector. In Zambia, only 10% of the workforce are in the formal sector. That means that the vast majority of Zambian workers are not covered by the rules and regulations that the International Organization has agreed on. And that is a bit of a problem, because that means that ILO is only supporting a small part of the population. And it's a problem for the Zambian government too. So that is what we are putting the finger on and trying to do something about it.
In Kenya, the public transport sector, with a specific focus on the matatu and bus fleets, has been identified as the priority sector.
Kenya, as I said, we have a huge labor force in the informal sector, and it was a tough choice to narrow down on which sector we were going to work in. But after consultation, we narrowed down to the public transport sector. This is one of the most important sectors in our country. It's got a labor force of almost 350,000 people working in it. We have about 70,000 minibuses and small vans transporting people on a daily basis in all the major towns. And we realize if we can make a difference in this, then the impact will be huge, even flowing to the other sectors.
This work in Kenya, in trying to promote the decent work agenda for the transport sector, for the matatu owners and operators, I do think will contribute a long way to a number of countries in Africa.
The project has a duration of 27 months and is funded by the Norwegian Agency for Development Cooperation, NORAD. Findings from the first phase of the project help to bridge the gaps in information and knowledge regarding the influence that labor and labor-related laws and regulations have on micro and small enterprises. What were some of these findings?
There was a first phase that ran about 3 years ago, And that phase looked at about 12 countries. It was mainly a research phase looking at the situation on the ground, how informal sector is responding to labor laws. And out of those 12 countries, the ILO zeroed in on 6 where they were promising practices coming out of them. And again, from the 6, they narrowed down to 2. Obviously, Zambia, one, has got a very fast-growing construction sector, which was a big attraction for us. A lot of small businesses are involved in that sector. It's got a very good kind of stable, political environment. It's a place where you can come and know you're going to work and make a change in the long term. In Kenya, on the other hand, Kenya had a very dynamic small enterprise sector, and it also had a they've been working through a new constitution where labor law and specifically the ILO's decent work agenda has been embedded in the new constitution. So there were unique opportunities that those 2 countries presented, and the ILO believed that we could gain maximum traction in those 2 countries.
The study of the project revealed that attention on MSMEs needed to be refocused in order to promote better labor regulations that will support decent job creation and growth of formal enterprises. What are some of the expected results and outcomes of the Low Growth Nexus project as it goes into its 2nd phase?
We hope to create more awareness about this. We want to create more awareness among policymakers, those who decide over rules and regulations. And one way of doing that is to help the government with a review of the whole labor code, but also about those who affect those who work in small enterprises. So more awareness and influence of policymakers so that they are aware of this challenge. And on the other hand, we also are working directly with the small entrepreneurs to inform them about what the rules and regulations are and the advantages of following them.
What we're looking at specifically is increasing the knowledge of labor law in the small business sector and increasing compliance by those small businesses to the existing labor law. That is one of the major outcomes. The other outcome, obviously, we are going to look at how we can, just promote across the small and medium enterprise sector an understanding of what the law requires and what they can reach for first.
The Low Growth Nexus project seeks to continue making contribution to a more enabling policy environment for SME development in Kenya and Zambia. The overall outcome is more and better jobs in the SME sector of the 2 countries.
At the moment, Zambia has less than 700,000 formal jobs in the sector. I mean, generally in all sectors. There are more jobs in the informal, there are over 4 million jobs in the informal sector. So by the end of the project, we'd want to see at least 500 new jobs created.
The SME must be able to perceive labor law as an advantage and be well informed about international best practices. Compliance levels are also very important.
Our objective is promote the message, increase the compliance. How are we going to do that? What are the ingredients we're putting in to build this cake of compliance? At one level, we are engaging with the small businesses themselves. We are doing a lot of business training, a lot of awareness training. We are developing a simple toolkit, training toolkit for small businesses to understand what does the law require of us when it comes to our workers, and how can we input that in our business? How can we do it in a cost-saving way so it's not too expensive, doesn't become a burden?
So this is one of the other things that we'll be trying to do to create a business case for compliance. And once you comply, are there any incentives for you?
In order for the project to succeed in Kenya and Zambia, the International Labour Organization will work with a number of constituents and other key stakeholders.
The ILO, in all the countries we work in, we work with what we call our key constituents. There are basically 3 partners. There's the Ministry of Labour in all the countries, or the ministry, the docket where labour sits. So it might not be called Ministry of Labour, it might be called Labour and something else, as I believe it is in Zambia. We also work with employer organizations, and we work with work organizations or trade unions. So we're looking in this project at how can those three entities work better with the small business sector? How can they improve the working conditions for people in small business?
SMEs have been found to hold significant job creation potential. Ultimately, beneficiaries of the project are the owner-managers of the growth-oriented small and medium-scale enterprises and their workers.
We want to see better jobs in the construction sector in Zambia and in the public transport sector in Kenya.
We need to work together and see how we can, utilize the abundant resources that we have as a country.
Decent work should be for all women and men, irrespective of the nature of work they do.
What we look forward to at the end of the day is ensuring that the Matatu businesses are sustainable and the workers' rights are respected.
Small companies that are formalized, that are registered and offer proper contracts and conditions, they tend to grow much faster, but they also take the step to be informed and be real employers and real entrepreneurs. They take off, they grow very, very quickly, and they get more access to finance, for example, and other support.